On June 16th, 2018, I launched this show. Have faith, let it begin. Join me each and every weekday at 7:30 a.m. live because this is a show all about faith. Motivational topics, inspirational stories, personal testimony designed for you, the daily commuter. My name is Angel, and welcome to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
30 seconds to go.
Hi, I am Mia. You're listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
Hi, my name is Isabella, and you're listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin. Hello, my name is Amari, and today we are back on another episode of Have Faith and Let's Begin.
10 seconds to go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Angela, and you're listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
Hey, this is Freddie, and you're listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
Have faith, let it begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Have Faith, Let It Begin on this Tuesday, September 17th, 2019. Folks, I hope you enjoyed your Monday, and let's get started with a Tuesday episode. As you probably saw the title. Do you like your job? Are you happy with your job? You know, one of the things that I constantly notice at my current job is when I walk the halls, I'm a very positive person. So if I'm walking the halls and I see somebody, I will say good morning. If it's in the afternoon, I'll say good afternoon. And I would say about 40% of the time, they acknowledge me and then they come back and say the same thing. Other times, I get a look of like, oh, what's so good about it? Or sometimes they're on their phones and totally ignore me and never look up. Remarkable how they get to where they need to be, whether glued nose deep into their phone. Don't get me wrong, I've done it. I have done it myself. But typically, I try to refrain from using my phone when I'm walking the hallways. One, because I don't want to bang into somebody or bang into a wall. And two, I just don't think it's polite. But that's another thing, and that's another future episode. But what we're talking about is, are you happy at work? Do you like your job? Well, a lot of us don't like what we do. A lot of us find themselves in a pretty interesting predicament. It's a job that pays well, has amazing insurance, but it's not the job you really like. Whether it's because of a supervisor, maybe colleagues at work, maybe the consistent inconsistencies, maybe the unprofessionalism. But there is something about work that some of us don't like. They don't appreciate the fact that sometimes you're not appreciated. You're not recognized for jobs or tasks that you complete. Others can actually say they just feel like they could be utilized, or their talents and their gifts should be utilized more, and they're not. For myself, I can honestly say, for the first time in my life, I finally found a job that I love to do. A job that I hold in regards as being one of the most famous, one of the most favorite jobs I've ever had. I'm not going to lie, though. Part of me, I was looking for my badge, by the way, when I said that, because I'm on my way to work, and I'm like, if I don't have a badge, I can't get in. But I will be honest, there are times when I feel that my talents aren't being utilized, when my gifts aren't being used, and I do the best I can with the power that I have, with the abilities that I have, to do what I can to try to make things happen, but my hands sometimes are tied. It brings back memories, though, to when I was a manager, and what most 22 and 23-year-olds would probably consider a dream job was not my favorite job. And a lot of it dealt with the environment. Some of you have remembered the previous episodes when we first started about the environment that I got into in a sales job. But one of the things I've never truly discussed was how on my second run, because I was laid off after working with that nonprofit organization, how when I came back and worked in the home office location, how it was, I thought, to be a new beginning, let me tell you the story. So, after 10 years of working for the nonprofit organization in my early 20s, I was pretty much late, not 10 years, what am I thinking? I apologize, I'm way off on the years. In 1999, I started working for a nonprofit organization. And around 2001, they decided to shut down that particular office. Then when that happened, that's how I got transferred over to Providence, Rhode Island. So it was a second round with them, but it was a transfer, and it was a different state. I've had previous episodes about this, so I encourage you to go back and listen to that episode. I was there from 2001 to 2006. I left Providence, Rhode Island, and moved back to my home in the Northeast. Excuse me. Now, after coming back, I did not want to continue on with that type of work, and I ended up working for AAA New York for the next 7 years. I'm dating myself. While I was there in that term, I decided that it was time to once again be a manager. So I reached out yet again to home office of my previous job and let them know that I was close by, and I was once again rehired. I left AAA to become a manager again and do my third run with that nonprofit organization. And that's where the story begins. I believe that the picture that was painted to me was definitely not the canvas or the materials that I wanted to work with. But throughout my 1.5 years with that company, because yes, ultimately I was let go, there was something good that came out of it. I met Sigfredo. Sigfredo is a very good friend of mine. You've heard him on the show. You heard him say, "Hello, this is Freddie, and you're listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin." Freddie and I became very good friends, and he was really a huge instrument from God during the hardest part of my life when it came to my marriage, before I was actually even married. But it came to a head when things were not doing well with my wife, then girlfriend at the time, or fiance. But he was there for me. But I don't want to, I'm going way off topic, and I'm sorry. The purpose of what I'm talking about is the work. So I apologize, I totally went off topic for a second. That's what happens when you relive a moment. You kind of go off a little bit. The part of the job that I didn't like was walking on eggshells. Was every time I would walk into work, I felt as if something was going to happen. Not a positive thing. And when positive things happened, I knew something negative would come about. That is not a type of job you want to be a part of. And the industry that I was in, we didn't even have lunchtime. Don't get me wrong, you were told you could take a lunch, but if you took the lunch, it was a sign of weakness because it was sales. See, when you go to take a lunch, you're taking time away from the sales. We didn't have a break time for the call center. That call center ran straight from 8 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, and there were no stoppages. It was go, 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 go. So a break, a lunch break, was considered a weakness. That is not the environment you want to be in. Or worrying about if you don't hit your numbers, that you may not have a job the next day. Having altercations and sharing an office with your boss who criticized you about every suggestion that you presented. Let me point out something to you. You ever have a position where you have a boss that was a mentor, was someone who had your best interests at heart, and then you left that job and you found a boss that was all about himself and expected you to do things based off of your resume, but without giving you the tools or the proper teachings or the proper proper guidance, mentorship. that most people expect. Don't get me wrong. I'm a grown man. I know the industry. But my theory is, if there are things that I do that are wrong, and you're the manager, you should pull me aside and say, listen, this is not the way you want to do things. Let me show you how to do it. Instead, I would get pulled in and be told, this is not the early 2000s. This is not the old school way. Your age and your way of teachings are outdated. So go back out there and find a better way to manage your team. That is not being a manager. That is not an environment. That is not the type of job anyone would want to be a part of. So, my question to all of you is, do you like your job? Are you happy with the work you have? Myself, I now have a job where when I come in, people say thank you. People say great job. My manager always looks for my best interest at heart, has no problems sharing with me when I do things incorrectly, but is willing to show me how to do things in a correct and proper manner. When things go awry, and even if I'm wrong, the manager will back me up, pull me aside and say, hey, not for nothing, you were kind of wrong on this, but I didn't like the way you were being treated, so I took care of it. Moving forward, don't do this, do it this way. Mentorship, good environment, good opportunities. I was always told by my mentor, Ralph, always prepare yourself to hire your replacement. Not because you're going to get fired, but because your way, by teaching the next person to replace you, only means that you're going to move up. And when you move up, the person that you've mentored will take your place, and he or she will do right by you, and eventually will be under you. And maybe one day, when it comes time to retire, they will then replace you again. But you can walk away knowing you set the bar, you set the table for the industry that helped you get to where you needed to be. Mentorship, good management, good environment. You know, I talk about a friend of mine, who I'm not going to say his name today. Very rarely I bring him up. He has that problem all the time. The consistent inconsistencies at his job, where people call out and call out and call out, and it's as if there's no repercussions. Here's an individual who very rarely calls out. When I mean very rarely, I mean he has gone literally 3 to 5 years sometimes without calling out, and then an emergency comes up and he is looked at as if he let the team down, looked at as if he dropped the ball. That is not the environment that anybody wants to be a part of. We talked about dreams on Friday and following your dreams. If you find yourself in a position to not be happy of your job, maybe it's time to use those gifts, to use your talents elsewhere. I'm not saying walk in today and quit and say, I listened to Have Faith Let It Begin, I'm going to quit. No, you have to do right by you. You have to do right by your family. But most importantly, you have to prepare yourself for the next challenge. Look around, see what your talents and your gifts can bring you. And when you go into a job interview, which is going to be another episode, by the way, most likely tomorrow. When you're in a job interview, I'm a firm believer that it's all about the environment. It's all about what you feel when you first walk in. And when you get there and you feel the position and you hear, you talk to some colleagues there, and you ask to speak to a couple managers, know that God's interest in you, God's purpose for you is to provide you with the correct and proper way to move forward on your next adventure, next challenge. God will never steer you in the wrong direction. God knows where He's going to put you. But don't allow yourself to feel negative, to feel uncertain, to feel unwanted, to feel unused at a position that you're at today. Because God has provided you with gifts, talents, and treasures. And He did not make that happen so that you could be unhappy. He did this so that you can utilize those talents, Use your gifts and share your treasures with all that are surrounded around you. Think about that as you go into work today. Have faith. Let it begin. Thank you for listening to another episode of Have Faith, Let It Begin. That's right, Ariel. We're done with another show. And it's always great to have this show with you, my love. You know, we're going to encourage each and every person to listen to our show every single weekday. That's right, you and I are going to help change the world. Do you think that you can do that for me? Huh? Yeah, you know you can. She does. We want to let you know, and yes, we encourage you to listen to our show each and every weekday, and it's going to be live at 7:30. Make sure you're subscribed to our show. Make sure you get ready, fasten those seatbelts, because Ariel and I and my family are going to bring you a new topic, a new story each and every day, right? Isn't that right, Ariel? Yeah. And she's smiling at me. Guys, enjoy your day.